Good morning, my friends. Today, it's a beautiful sunny day, not a cloud in the sky, which means it's probably really cold outside, but I'm hoping it's not because I want to go out. I have some errands I need to do, and I also have work later tonight, which I walk to work every day, or not every time I work. So, yeah, I'm hoping it's not too cold, but I'm happy it's sunny so I can at least get a little bit of sun, uh, which is definitely something that I lack during the winter months. So I have a few more suggestions, which is making my life a little bit easier. So, um, first suggestion is how to maintain a sense of self. Someone asked about that. Um, Actually, I'm going to go to the comment 1 second because there was a little bit more details onto that exactly. Maintaining a sense of self and having a private inner world without being unhealthily closed off. So, how would I respond to something like that? If I already I already live that kind of lifestyle. I live a private inner life. I find I'm not really that social. I don't really find myself going out that much, but I don't find myself closed off from people. I definitely do socialize on occasion. Um, it's just generally something that I'm not interested in, and I think that's mainly the aspect that I focus on for the most part is not really focusing on trying to socialize with other people and just just enjoying the privacy of my own life, and just enjoying sort of the concept of being alone, which I think there's quite a few people who don't particularly like that. They're very social people. They definitely like to be around other people a lot, like to talk to other people. And while I do like that as well, it's definitely not something that I need to live with on a day to day basis. I don't feel like um, it's often as other people where I'm feeling, oh, I really need to talk to someone or I really need to go out and socialize. But I don't close myself off from other people. Um, and I think it's easy to get into that trap of isolating yourself and not really wanting to do anything. And I think the easiest way to avoid that is just to be open to doing things in general. The easiest thing to do is to just say no all the time, which I fall into a habit on occasion. I kind of like, oh, I don't want to go out or I don't want to do this. But sometimes, you just kind of gotta go with the flow. If a friend of you is contacting you and wants to hang out and do something, just do it. Even if you don't really feel like it in the moment, you'll probably end up having fun anyway. Um, and maintaining a sense of self, I feel like what's the biggest thing is being honest with who you are as a person. Getting in touch with your deepest sense of self definitely comes about from, it's going to come about if you practice a sense of spirituality. I feel like that for me, that was the best thing in terms of coming into terms with myself and like basically checking myself and having sort of a more deeper relationship with my inner self or my consciousness, right? So your conscious, which is what tells you basically, do this, don't do that. Um, at its base level, you want to get in touch with that kind of voice so you can sort of understand it more, so you can conceptualize it more and sort of live your life without having to lie or having to put up a front in order to sort of survive in the real world. Once you sort of connect with a deeper sense of self and you're honest with yourself, I find that it helps me to um, not need to lie to other people, not need to sort of hide away from people, not to be closed off or not to rely off of people at the same time. It's about maintaining that sense of balance. Because, feeling attached or feeling a need to socialize with other people, it's just as toxic as being unhealthily closed off. Because you have a lot of people who are super extroverted and they have a million friends, but they have absolutely no real connection with these people. They're just, trying to force themselves out. They're not making connections. They're not getting in touch with their deeper selves. And that's why you find a lot of people who are very social and they're very active in life, and they're some of the loneliest people. Not only is it because they're not connecting with the people around them, but they're not connecting with themselves. They're not feeling satisfied being alone. Being alone or having those feelings of loneliness, to me, it's not a question of wanting to be with other people. I think that's obviously a part of it, but really it's sort of a discomfort with yourself. It's like a discomfort with being alone in the first place, which I think people should work on if they have those feelings of loneliness, even when they're with other people or when they're alone in the first place. Is just to learn how to sort of cope, not even cope, just embrace the fact that you're alone, because you're always kind of alone. You're experiencing life in your own perspective. You're seeing things through your own eyes. You're never going to really see someone else's perspective unless it's from your own, which I think might scare some people, but that's just really how it is. So once you sort of learn to accept and embrace that concept of loneliness or being alone, you can maintain a sense of self without being unhealthily attached to other people or unhealthily withdrawn from other people. I was in the latter case probably when I was younger. I was definitely a lot more antisocial and didn't want to talk to people. And I still have that issue to this day, a little bit, but not as much as I used to. But it's still something I deal with, but it's generally not something I actively pursue to be antisocial. I just tend to not really socialize that much because I don't feel like I need to all the time. It's not something I desperately crave. It's not an appetite. It's not an addiction to socializing, which I think some people might have. Some people who are more extroverted. But if someone who's introverted is probably addicted to the concept of being alone, which is a lot easier for someone like me to want to be alone. And it's good to sort of branch out and sort of expand and talk to people just in general, just to have social interaction. It sort of brings out that self inside of you and sort of gets you to sort of reflect on it, if that makes sense. It makes you sort of want to sort of not compare yourself, but you see how other people interact with you, and that sort of helps you understand how you interact with yourself and with other people, and that sort of helps you maintain a sense of self, and that's more on the introverted side. For extroverts, you definitely need to go to the opposite way and sort of spend time in isolation and just sort of have self-dialogues, literally talk to yourself. You're not going to be crazy. You're only crazy if you're in a delusional state and you actually believe that there's like these entities in your brain that are talking to you. The only thing I would say is if you're delusional is if you genuinely feel, like a strong negative connotation to the concept of talking to yourself, or you feel like you want to get the voices out of your head. That's schizophrenia. These are negative things that are happening to you. This should be something that's positive or uplifting or feels like, oh, I'm getting something done. Always running a dialogue into your brain to yourself, and you're sort of exercising that conscious muscle, that muscle that sort of tells you, it's what your consciousness is. It's what is experiencing life before you, and then you're interacting with that in your egotistical form. Being egotistical is not wrong. It's just the physical manifestation of your soul, so to speak. And you want to kind of have that dialogue so you understand the relationship and you understand the balance between them, and you understand that the ego is serving the conscious or the higher self, whatever you want to call it. So anyway, that's all I really have to say on that subject. I noticed that there's a lot of people still not satisfied with what I'm talking about in terms of the music success thing, getting recognition, all that stuff. And at the bottom line is that I don't really know everything about the being successful in music because I'm not there yet. I don't consider myself a success. I'm still very much at the bottom, which I'm fine with for the moment. And I'm still working myself up. And if I knew all the answers, I would be there already, so don't expect me to know everything. I only know so much as where I've gotten and how I've gotten there, but I still have a long way to go. And I think that's another aspect that I think is important, is that you shouldn't feel like you've made it to the top ever, because you should always be improving, because if you're not improving, you're degrading upon yourself. So anyway, I'll leave it at that, and I hope you have a wonderful day.